So I figured it was time for a lathe video. I've got it in position now. Got it moved. Collets up here. That's the packaging from the replacement lead screw I got. This is the replacement spindle. I have not put in it yet. So we're still running this one with the chipped or the missing tooth, and I have not run the back gears. I have used the lathe just a little bit, just kind of I'd call it playing around with it. I think this is bronze. Cut some bronze, then took a brass fitting and made like a little pinky ring for my wife. Just kind of trying to do stuff to use different tools on it. So for this one, you know, I was able to face it, then you know, take it down, then bore the inside, then cut it off. So it kind of allowed me to use some different tooling and get some practice. Also needed to turn down a piece of PVC, and so I put that in there, used a boring bar, and I had to open up the diameter of PVC coupler to fit a it's like a drain end cap, and it's made, it was an 1.5 inch PVC. The drain end cap was made to fit inside of a 2-inch piece of PVC, and so if I took a 1.5 inch coupler, PVC coupler, and I was able to bore the inside of it out basically to 2 inches, and that fit the PVC couple, the drain screen thing. So did that, you know, just kind of just trying to find stuff to do on it. And I cleaned, before I did any of that, I took this thing apart, not completely apart, but I did take, of course I had to take the cross feed apart, and you know, to replace the cross feed screw. So I did that, and of course while I did that I took the compound apart. Didn't take the compound screw apart, just took all this apart. Took the taper attachment apart, and just cleaned everything up really good. Most of it had just a slight surface rust on it, so I just used a I guess they're Scotch-Brite pads, not like a SOS, just one of those fiber Scotch-Brites. You know, it's not metal, it's just yeah. So use that to clean it up, and that did a really good job with just that, and I used WD-40 as the cleaner for it, and so put WD-40 on the pad, and then kind of went all over it. Then I wiped it all down, wiped the WD-40 off, and I picked up all the correct oils for it. Bought them on eBay, and so you've got your Y oil, your A oil, your B oil, and your C oil. And so went through the whole thing, oiled everything, and just made sure everything was well lubricated. And but after I cleaned it, I was able to kind of get a close-up, a real close look on everything, and this thing is in really good shape. If you look, you can see a little bit of a line, but I can't even catch it with my fingernail. You can't feel the line. It's just, it's in really good shape. There's no line down here, but you can just see that little bit of a line, and you can't catch it with your fingernail. Now down here, you don't see it as much, and you don't see the line at all down here. So you can see the line down here, but you can't you can't feel it, and it's just, you know, you got some nicks and stuff, but they're not bad. They really aren't. I was really impressed with how good a shape this thing was in, and I did end up getting a used crossfeed screw. I've got, with it and with the crossfeed screw, the handle, the nut, and they sent me another collar. All that stuff was used. I've got about, oh, and the spindle, all that. I've got about $130 in all that stuff. That's shipping, everything, and so I feel like that was really good. The crossfeed screw's got some wear in it. I could have got a new one for $200, but for now, with me just learning, I figured the much cheaper used one would work for now, and you know, maybe one day I can make one, or maybe one day I'll buy one. But that got this thing up and going. See, I would have had $200 in that, plus the cost of the spindle, so it really would have added a lot to get it back operational. And for $130, I got this thing operational. So anyway, here we go. You know, it's got some slop in it, and there's not much slop in the compound itself, but there's definitely more in the crossfeed. That crossfeed screw is worn more than the compound, and you know, this crossfeed screw probably came off of a lathe that had a lot more wear than this one did. So I'm sure my original crossfeed screw is probably in better shape, but the ends broke off of it, so the screw itself was probably in better shape, but unusable with the end. So it's, like I said, it's running good. Oh, I didn't show you all the motor. Let me turn the light on. So I forgot to tell y'all, I did find a motor. I don't remember if I showed it in one of the other videos, but this is a Dayton half-horse single phase. It's hooked up to 110 right now. It had the same kind of mounts where the bracket mounts to the motor, but the motor bracket itself was quite a bit different, and it just had these two flimsy little mounts. And so I ended up taking this motor bracket. This motor bracket was, the old motor was an inch wider, and so I cut an inch out of this bracket off the back side of the bracket to make sure, you know, my distance here stayed the same, and welded the bracket back together, and I saved that piece. So if I ever need to put the original three-phase motor back in here, all I got to do is just grind my weld off and put that piece back in there and weld it back in, and I'll have a, you know, the original bracket back. But that allowed me to use this motor, and it's a good motor. It's older probably than the lathe. I think I looked up, and the lathe is either a 1975 or 1976. This motor is probably, just guessing, probably from the 50s, and it's got oilers on it, or it could be from the 60s. It's got oilers on it, and or maybe the lathe was from 65 or 66. It was either 65 or 66 or 75 or 76. But anyway, it's everything's back together on it. You know, it's working good. I'll turn it on for y'all. It's very quiet running. I'll engage it first. Super quiet. cross feed. There we go. Power feed. Alright. So, good running lathe. Everything's in good shape on it. It's got a safety on it. And like I said, oiled everything up. You can see there's oil on the table. Need to get a chip tray for it and wipe out all this stuff. See where it's kind of purged out some of the old oil with the fresh oil. But I also pulled the tailstock off, looked at the bottom of it. There's no noticeable wear on it. You know, there's just nothing. No noticeable wear anywhere on it. It's got a spot here, a gouge. I was trying to figure out what they did, and I finally realized what they did. They grab my chuck key. The way I found out, I changed out the jaws on here, and so I had my key in here, and so I was changing them out, and I kind of rotated it around, and I realized that you get this thing just right, and right there. So they left the chuck key in it, turned the lathe on, it came down and hit right there. So that's why don't ever leave chuck key. So kind of showed you all the tooling that came with it. It's got a bunch, or I'd say quite a bit. But there were some gears I didn't know what they were, and that's all of these and that. And what I realized is that is for metric, so you can put them here. I'm missing one of the gear holders. There would be another gear holder that would go right here, and you would put those gears on, and then you can do metric threading. So that's kind of neat to have. I'm sure I can find. I'm sure that one of those holders is easier to find than the full set of gears for it, and because I'm sure that same holder is used right here, so it would just be finding one like that, and someone is parting out a lathe or something like that, and get one of those gear holders. So that's nice to have, and it's complete. Like I said, other than that gear holder, all the gears themselves are there. So what else? I feel like I'm forgetting to tell y'all some stuff. So boring bar holder. What else? Sticks a little bit. Forward rest, steady rest. And I did pick up some of these. These actually have good reviews. These are the carbide, Harbor Freight carbide. I haven't used them yet. I've been using high-speed steel. Yeah. Here's my other jaws. So I got a set of jaws for this one, the other outside jaws, or inside jaws. Yeah, inside jaws. Yeah, whichever one. I got both sets, And then these are, you flip them around. So those work either way. So anyway, well, I guess just for the heck of it, I'll show you all this. We're running out of batteries, so I'll make this quick. Well, it's wrapped up, but there we go. It's got all of its teeth in good shape. Bearing seems good in it. So, some point we'll pull it apart. I gotta make a puller for the spindle. We'll pull the spindle and put that in it. Replace the spindle. But for now, without back gears, it's working. So, anyway. Oh, and I mounted this little light I got from a garage sale. I think I paid $1 for it. Right there. And I put new ballast in these two lights, and then found out about the LED replacements, and I should have done that, but whatever. It's working lights. So, thanks for watching.